All right, we're going to start here in Daf Ayin Pei Hey. We are in the up from the widest lines in the Gemara, up 7 lines. So we were there saying, we said on this son of Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon, after he had become a gadol, Rabbi said on him that pasuk of Pri Tadig Eitz Chaim, V'lokech Nefashos Chacham, whoever can draw a yid back to the Torah is a Chacham. V'lokech Nefashos Chacham, right? V'lokech Nefashos Chacham. So the Pri Eitz Chaim. So Zeh Rebbe Yossi, Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon. That was the son. That was the boy. That was the Pri Eitz, the Pri of Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon. Lokech Nefashos Chacham, Zeh Rebbe Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya, who taught him. Kinach Nafshe, when the son, the Rebbe Yossi, Rebbe Elazar, was nifter, Tuhu L'Mar'asa de Avu, they tried to bring him to the cave of where his father and his grandfather, Rebbe Elazar and Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai, were buried. To Avu, Hadrullah Achna L'Mar'asa, the snake that had been there before, went back and was surrounding the mouth of the cave. And again, it was like holding its tail in its mouth, surrounding the circumference of the opening and not letting anybody in. So Omar Allah, Achna, Posach Picha, Yikonas Ben Etzel Ovi. So let us in, open up and let us in. And didn't. Lo Poscha didn't open up. For Rabbi Elazar, when they brought him to be with his father. So they thought the reason it didn't open up was because maybe the Torah of Rabbi Yossi, Rebbe Elazar wasn't great enough to be together with his father and grandfather. Kasavruhu ha'am lomer shezeh gadol mizeh, that it was a matter of the greatness of Torah, that is why he couldn't be buried in that cave. Yotzasa Baskol v'Amra, Baskol came out and said, Lo mipnei shezeh gadol mizeh. It's not because of greatness or not greatness. He was also very great. It's just that Rebbe Elazar and his father, Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai, were mitzar in the cave for many years, hiding out, learning Torah. Therefore, they were zoich to be buried there. But someone who didn't have to live in the cave, he wasn't zoich to be buried there. Ikla Rabbi Ashrei the Rebbe Tarfon. So the Rabbi went to the place of Rebbe Tarfon, and he was looking for his son. Omar Lahu, Yesh Lo Ben, does he have a son? La'oisot Tzadik, Sha'ayim Mifakech Es Bonad. That he thought he had a son because every time he would make a shavua, he would say, in the name of his son. So he thought he had a son. They said he didn't have a son. Amrulo, Ben Ein Lo Ben Bas Yesh Lo, he has a grandson. V'chol Zoinu Shenich Skeres, B'shnai, any Zoinu that would be hired out for $2. They would pay to be with him for 8 because he was so beautiful. Asiyu, so they brought him to Rabbi the Kmei. So Omar Leh, he told him, if you come back to Torah, Yavena Loch Brasai, I'll give you my daughter as a wife. Hodar Bey, and he came back to Torah. Some say that after he took her, Nosva Vigirsha, that he married her and divorced her. Amri Lo Nosva Klaus, some say that he never married her at all, so the people shouldn't say that he only came back to Torah in order to marry the girl. He didn't want people to think that, so he never married her. Chozar, Bishvil Zeh Chozar. Zeh. Shvil Zeh Chozar Zeh. Why did Rabbi go out of his way so much to be makar these the children of Siddiqim? Kulihai. The Omar Rav Yehuda, because it said Omar Rav Yehuda, Omar Rav. The Omar Law, some say Omar Rabbi Chiah bar Abba, Omar Rabbi Yochanan. The Omar Law, Omar Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmane, Omar Rabbi Yonasan. Kol Milamed as Ben Chaveiro Tyra Zoicha v'Yoshe b'Yeshiva Shalmala. Whoever teaches his friend's son Tyra, so that needs it or doesn't need it, he'll be Zoicha mamish to sit b'Yeshiva Shalmala. Shneimah, as it says, in Yirmiyahu. It says, L'chein kol amar Hashem, im toshuv ashivcha. If you will bring somebody back, I'll sit you, Lifonai Tamod. You'll stand before me. Then it says, V'im toitzi. It says, V'im toitzi yokem mezulel. If you'll, right.
How do we understand that it's telling us that the son of one great city and went way off the derek to doing terrible things?
Could be that the Chiah Yetzer wants to attack something which is more kadosh and wants to drag it down, and that's why Rebbe went to pull it back up. And when they did, they were able to. They came up. They were able to come up and be great. Could be the Satan want to bring it down because it's a big zap, because that was the third generation, and if there's a lot of nafkaminas for that third generation. If that person will go in Torah won't be nifsak from that mishpacha ever. So maybe there's a big inclination for the Yetzer to dafka focus on that third generation and to be machshel that third generation, to machshel them. So that's what both of these people were being nichshal in Taivas Noshim. The Yetzer was being machshel them, and therefore trying to bring that down so they could do rule, so there wouldn't be Torah forever throughout. Because that's what we'll see. If Torah is Mekayim 3 generations, it won't stop from that family. It'll keep going once you have that type of a chazaka in the family.
So in Rebbe Tarfon's family, he was the first generation?
So, I don't know if that was the same idea that was happening over there. We'll see. Maybe the more we'll talk. I don't know which generation was which. We see that there was a skip. Rebbe Tarfon, it wasn't his son, it was his grandson, but his daughter maybe was, I guess if there's no sons that lost the Torah in between, that if you will then catch the third generation, the grandchild, maybe that's considered 3 generations of Torah still. So it says, that was the pasuk. Where do we see that if a person teaches his friend's son Torah, that he will be zoichel v'yoshev b'yeshiva shemala shneimar im toshev v'ashivcha. If you will bring back, I will sit you down lifona tamod. You'll stand in front of me Hashem. Chol malamed es ben amaretz. Whoever teaches the son of an amaretz, someone whose previous generation was not learning Torah. Amaretz Torah. So Afilu Kadosh Baruch Hu goes a gezerah, even if there was a gezerah on that person who was teaching. So mivatla bishvilo, that because he was melamed that person Torah, that gezerahs can be misvatla because of this. Shneimaz, it says in the same pasuk, im taitzi, if you will, if you'll take the precious from the dross, maybe. That means a Talmud Chacham from an Am Haaretz, if you'll teach the son of an Am Haaretz Torah and he becomes great, even though the father wasn't. So that's if you will take out precious from the not chashuv, then it says kipi tiyeh, you will be maybe like my mouth. And then it says, the pasuk continues, it says yashuvu hema elecha, and then those will return to you. Atah lo tashuv aleihem is the ending of the pasuk. Meaning you will maybe only attract towards the Torah and you will not be drawn down. Omar Rebbe Parnech Omar Rebbe Yochanan Kol shehu Talmud Chacham Beno Talmud Chacham Ben Beno Talmud Chacham, anyone who has 3 generations that are learning Torah. Shuv ein Torah mafsekes me mizara lo'ilam. So then the Torah will continue forever and ever in that mishpacha. Shneimaz, it says in the pasuk, Bani zois brisi oisam. Pasuk says it's in Yeshayahu. Zos brisi oisam. And this is the covenant I made with them. Omar Hashem, Ruchi asher alecha, my spirit which is on you. Udivorai asher samti beficha, and my words that I put in your mouth. Lo yamush mepicha, they won't end from your mouth. Mepi zaracha, not from the mouth of your children. Mepi zera zaracha, and from your grandchildren. Omar Hashem, me'atov yadalam, forever and ever. So that if it goes 3 generations, then the Torah will remain in that family. Lo yamush mepicha. Gemara says, "Vayni zos priisi lo yamush mepicha, mepi zaracha, mepi zera zaracha, Omar Hashem me'atov yadalam." My Omar Hashem. What does it mean? Omar Hashem. Me'ato, it says Omar Hashem. So Omar Kodesh Baruch Hu. Ani Areb la. I will be the guarantor for this to make sure that Torah will not be lost in your family. My Ma'ato ve'adalam. What does it mean from now until forever? Omar Rebbe Yirmiyah. Mikan ve'elech, from this point on, after the 3rd generation and onward, Torah machzeres alachsanya shalah, meaning the Torah will remain in its house. It'll keep going back to his house. Rab Yosef, Yosiv, Arboim Tainesa. So Rab Yosef sat 40 Tainesim, and then they came to him in a dream. As he was sitting Tainesim in order that Torah shouldn't be lost from his future generations, from his whole family, that they should continue in Torah for 3 generations. They came to him in a dream after he had sat 40 Tainesim v'akru'u, and he heard the pasuk in his dream. It says, "Lo yamushu me'picha." It won't be lost from you. So he understood that Torah won't be lost from him. He'll have Torah. So there wasn't enough. He needed it that it wouldn't be lost from his children also. So Yoshiv Arboyin Tanesa, he sat another 40 Tanesim, Achrini. Then he had another dream for Akriyu, and they said to him in a dream, a bit further in the pasuk, they said, Lo yamush mapicha, from your mouth, mapi zarecha, and also from your children. So it's getting better, but he still wanted it to go another generation. So Yosef Mem Tanayos, he said another 40 Tanesim, Achrine, 40 they changed it to, Achrine, and also Akru, and then they came to him in a dream and they read Akru, Lo yimush mapicha, won't be lost from your mouth, mapi zarecha, and from the mouth of your children, mapi zera zarecha, and from the mouth of your grandchildren. So he sat a total of 120 Tanesim, and at that point he realized he didn't have to sit any more Tanesim because he had reached that level. Omar Makan ve'elef, from that point on, Lo tzurichna, I don't need to fast anymore. Torah machzeres alachsane shalah. The Torah will keep coming back and back and back to this family where it was like its house. This becomes the house of Torah. Rabbi Zera ki salik la'ara, the Israeli went up to Israel, and he was wanted to start learning Torah by, I guess, Rabbi Yochanan. So from Babel, Ad Yisrael, Yosiv, Me'ah, they changed this also to Arboim. Arboim Tanesa, you want to fast 40 Tanesim, do Lishtokach Kumor Bavlamine, that he should forget all of his learning that he learned in Babel, so that when he comes to learn the Torah of Israel, it won't be Balba him and confuse him to understand what they're trying to say. Kihechi to lo Natrade. So in order that he shouldn't get confused between the two learnings. Yosef Arboim Achrin to, he said another 40 to lo Lishchayv Rabbi Elazar Bishane, that Rabbi Elazar shouldn't die during his lifetime. Benaflin Eluye Mile Ditzibura, and that he would have to then, Rabbi Yezer was afraid if Rabbi Elazar would die, he would have to be responsible for the inyanim of the tzibur. He didn't want that. He wanted to be able to sit and learn. So he davened that Rabbi Elazar should remain alive during his lifetime. Yosef Mem Achrine, he sat another 40 Tanesim to lo Nishloit Be nur the Gehenim, right, and that it shouldn't be shouldered over him, Gehenim, when he's nifter in the end. Kol Toisin Yoimeg, he wanted to test himself to see how he was doing, if the Gehenim wouldn't be shouldered over him. So every 30 days he would test to see if his flesh would burn or not. Tolsin Yoimeg Havi Bodik Nafshi, he would test himself. Shogar Tanura, he would light up an oven. Solek Vyoseh Bigavia, and to go and sit inside the oven. He was happened to be a small man also. Rabbi Zera. Below Habit, Sholta Bay Nura, and the fire never bothered him, never burnt him. Yomachad Havu Bay Rabbanan Eina. One day the Rabbanan will put their eye on him, or he could do such things. Ayin Hara. The Ichrichu Shakia, and they burnt his thighs as he was sitting in there. The Korle, they called him, gave him a nickname that Kitina Charich Shakia, a small one that is thighs with the burnt thighs. So he was short. So he's a short one with the burnt thighs. Omarav, Yehuda, Omarav.
I don't understand the rabbis. Isn't that Midas Ram to cause damage to a fellow Jew for no reason?
They couldn't help it. They looked at him and they were jealous of him because he could sit in the fire and not get burned. Suddenly so it happened. So my Dichasiv, what's meant by the pasuk that says, Mir Ishe Chacham, who is the wise man? V'yoven es those that can understand such a thing. V'asher diber pi Hashem elag, and that which Hashem had spoken to him. V'yagida alma of the hearts, that can tell us why the Beis Mikdash Rishon was destroyed. Nitzisa kamidbar mibli oiver. So who is such a person that can answer us why Hashem destroyed the first Beis Mikdash? And this is a pasuk in Yirmiyahu. Mia isha chacham v'yoven es zois v'asher diber pi v'Hashem elav yagid alma av the haaretz. Davar zeh, meaning, if you look at the first part of the pasuk, it says Mia isha chacham, meaning that they asked the chachamim, they asked the navim, why did the Beis Mikdash get destroyed? So they asked the Amru chachamim below pirshu, and they couldn't explain why the Beis Mikdash was destroyed. Amru Nevi'im below Pirshu, and they asked the Nevi'im, and they also didn't exactly know why it was destroyed. Until Hashem explained it, why the Beis Mikdash was destroyed. Shneamaz, it says in the pasuk in Yirmiyahu, it says, "V'yomer Hashem al azavam es tayrasi," because you forsook my Torah, asher nosati lifneichen, that I put in front of you. Lo shamu, because you didn't listen to what I was saying. Lo holchu ba, you didn't go in its ways. That's why I destroyed the Beis Mikdash. Omar Rab, Yehuda Omar Rav, name of Rab. Shelo barchu b'Torah techila. They didn't machshiv Torah enough that they should, before they would learn, that they would say a brucha b'chas Torah, because it says lefanai. The pasuk says shenasati lifneihem. They learned brucha that was supposed to come, that they're supposed to be saying before learning Torah. Omar Rab Chama, my Dichasiv, what is meant in the pasuk? It says in Mishlei, B'lev nobain tanua chachma. In the heart of a understanding person, there will be wisdom. U'v'kerev ksilin tivodea. And in the inner parts of fools, it'll be made known. You will make known. Belev navon tinua chachma v'kerev ksilin tivodea. Belev navon tinua chachma. In the heart, in the understanding heart, there will rest chachma. Is that Talmud Chacham and Talmud Chacham? Talmud Chacham, who is that his this son of a Talmud Chacham. So that's there. That's what's being referred to over there. And Bikerev Ksilim Tivoda is a Talmud Chacham ben Amor. That's a Talmud Chacham that comes from a father that wasn't a Talmud Chacham, and that's called a Ksilim Tivoda, Bekerev, from within a Ksilim, a fool, meaning that the Hamaretz, Tivoda, there will be a Talmud Chacham which comes out of it, meaning, I guess the Rashi says, Tivoda, 3 lines down on the top, Tivoda, it will become known, Modia Lecho, Umisfire Bikitra. I'm not sure if it's referring to the father or the son. He'll make it known to everybody, like the Torah, and he will be he'll like take honor from its crown. Either that's the father or the son. I'm not sure. Ben Amaretz. Hainu Bikerev Ksilim, from the Ksil, from the fool, meaning the person who doesn't know Torah. Mishpachas Ksilim, it will Tivoda. I guess it sounds like the Talmud Chacham is going to take honor from the Torah. He's coming from a family that doesn't know Torah. Omar Ula, Hainu do Omrei, and that's what people said. Inshe, Bilgina, Kish. A coin in a certain type of empty vessel makes a lot of noise. Astir Rashi, 3 lines down. Astira Bilgina, Asela Echad Bilgina. One single coin in a Bilgina makes a lot of noise. Kish Karya calls out Kish. Skashkesh, a little bit of Torah in an empty vessel will make a lot of noise. That's what we meant, that a Talmud Chacham that comes from a Amaretz with the Torah, a little bit of Torah that he knows, he'll make a lot of noise about it. Skashkesh. Mashmiya call and let everybody know what he knows. However, if that vessel, those vessels have been filled with coins, lo haya mashmiya call, wouldn't have made so much noise. That's what's meant by the saying that bil astira big balgina kish karya makes the sound. Coin. Omarle Remi Yirmiya le Rebbe Zera. What is meant by the pasuk that says in Son v'gadol shom, who ve'eved chofshi ma'adoinav. There, meaning in the next world, everybody's the same. Great, large and small, they're all the same in the next world. And an eved and a free man, an eved over there, an eved will then be free from his master. Sham, Sham who the eved chofshi ma'adoinav. So, for the Gemara, don't we know? What is that pasuk telling us? Don't we know that in the next world, the great are going to be the same as the small? Otu lo yadinan the kotim v'godol sham. Who? Don't we know that the great and the small are the same? Ella, what are we hearing? Ella hamaktin atzmo al divrei Torah be'olam hazeh nasei godol la'olam haba. Whoever makes himself small in this world for Torah, in the next world he's going to be made great. Whoever makes himself like an eved for Torah in this world, will then become like a free agent in the next world. What does that mean? The Gemara, somewhere there they speak about what it means to be free, to have to be a ben chayrin in the next world. What does that mean to be a ben chayrin in the next world? So the Gemara goes on. Reish Lakish habe mitzayin ma'aroso de rabbanim. Reish Lakish used to make simonim around the kvorim, about the caves of the rabbanim where they were buried, so the people wouldn't be kahanim, wouldn't be niksha, go near them. When he came to the Mara, he wanted to demarcate the cave of Rebbe Chiah, which is in Tveria. So, alma mine, he couldn't find it. It disappeared from him. Cholish daiti, he felt very bad about that. Amar Rabbanu Shalom, why can't I find the Mara, the cave of Rebbe Chiah? Shema chas v'chalila lo filfalte. Torah k'maiso. Maybe I wasn't mifalfel in Torah like Rebbe Chiah. Yotzes sabas chol v'amar lo. Torah k'maiso filfalta. Yes, you did learn Torah like him. However, Torah kimaisar lo ribatzta, but you weren't marbitz Torah the way Rebbe Chiah was. This is Rebbe Reish Lachish. He wasn't marbitz Torah the way Rebbe Chiah was. Kihavu minsu Rebbe Chanina Rebbe Chiah when they were arguing. L'shem Shemayim, they weren't fighting. They were arguing over what each of them was contributing to Klal Yisrael in terms of Torah. So Rebbe Chiah, Rebbe Chanina, Rebbe Chiah, Omar Lei, Rebbe Chanina, Rebbe Chiah, Bahadi the day called Minces. Are you arguing with me about my contribution? Chas v'chalila mishtokach Torah Israel. If Torah would ever get forgotten, I could return it. Mahadronallah b'pilfulai. I could bring it back by my pilpul, knowing the connections between how everything's supposed to fit together. I could bring back Omar Rebbe Chiah, Rebbe Chanina, Bahadi Didoy Ka. Min says, what with me? You're arguing about what I'm doing for Klal Yisrael. The Abdish Tokach Israel. I made the Torah B'chlal won't ever get forgotten from Klal Yisrael. My Avid, what did he do? As Ilna Shadain Kisne, he went and he planted flax seeds in the ground and grew the flax. The Gidlana, and he grew it into flax. Nishve, and he made it into nets. B'tzaydona Tovi, and with those nets, traps, he caught deer. Mach Ilena Bisrayu Liyosmi, and then took the meat and he fed it to the Yisomim. Va'arichna Migilta, and then he smoothed out, took the skins and made them into parchments. V'kasavna Chamisha Chumshe, and then he wrote on the parchments the Chumash. Chamisha Chumshe Torah separately. This Likna Lamas, he went up to different towns. Mikraina went up to a town. Mikraina Chamisha Yunke, and he read it, taught each Chumash to a different child that was able to absorb it. V'chamisha Chumshe, on each of the separate Chumashim. Masnina Shisa Yunke, and then he taught 3 separate kids the Sidre Shisa, each one a different Seder in the Mishnayos. Yonke Shisa Sidre. Amrina, when I told them, each child he taught a different Sidra in the Mishnayos, and each child he taught a different Sefer of Chumash. So 5 children he taught the whole Chumash, and 6 he taught the whole Seder of Mishnayos. And he told them, when I come back, Adadrona, until I come back, Asina, and I come, the Okru Va'adodi. You learn them with each other. Exchange them between each other. You teach this one and that one should teach you. The Osnu Va'adodi. And then they came and they did. They taught each other. Abdullah, and by that way, everybody knew the Torah. Abdullah the Torah Delot Tishtokach Yisrael. And that was a great thing, especially at that time, maybe. Hayu de Omar Rabbi Kama Gedolim Ma'aseh Chiah, and that's what Rabbi said about how great the Ma'aseh of Rebbe Chiah was for having done that. Omar Lei Rebbe Yishmael Rebbe Yossi. Afilu Mimar, even greater than you, Rabbi. So Omar Lei yes, even greater than me. Afilu Me'aba, even greater than your father, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. So Rabbi said, no, Chas v'shalom, anyone should even say such a thing. Omar Lei Chas, about his Rabbi's father, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. So he said, Omar Lei Chas v'chalila lo tiye kazos b'Yisrael. Don't say such a thing in Klal Yisrael that anyone could be greater than my father, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Omar Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yossi asked Rebbe, he said, even more than you? He said, yes, even more than your father. So Rebbe said to Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yossi, no. It shouldn't be said such a thing that anyone could be greater than my father. Amar Rabbi Zera, Emish Mirali Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina. At night, Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina came to me in a dream. Amarti lo, and I said to him, Etzel miata takua. Who are you next to in Olam Amis? So Omali Etzel Rebbe Yochanan, that I am next to Rebbe Yochanan. Rebbe Yochanan Etzel me. Who's Rebbe Yochanan next to? Etzel Rebbe Yonai. He's next to Rebbe Yonai. Rebbe Yonai Etzel me. Who's Rebbe Yonai next to? Etzel Rebbe Chanina. Rebbe Chanina Etzel me. Who's Rebbe Chanina next to? Etzel Rebbe Chiah. Next to Rebbe Chiah. So Amarti lo, I said to him, Rebbe Yochanan Etzel Rebbe Chiah lo. Rebbe Yochanan, he's in his greatness, he's not next to Rebbe Chiah. So Amarli, he told me, Ba'azraj is a kukin denura where there's sparks of fire. Ubehurin de Aisha and flames of fire. Man Mail Bar Nafcha Lamasam. Can Bar Nafcha, they called Rebbe Yochanan the son of the blacksmith. Can they put the Rebbe Yochanan in a place like that? He doesn't go, he doesn't belong to be there. Omar Rav Chaviva Ishtoi Li Rab Chaviva Bar so make it.
His father was not a sage.
No, Rebbe Yochanan. Rebbe Yochanan just wasn't supposed to be next to Rebbe Chiah.
Right. The reason is because he's the son of a blacksmith.
No. Oh.
Is it the point that he can't be there because
good point.
His father wasn't?
He's known to be the son of a blacksmith. I don't know if his father was even a blacksmith. That's what they called him. I think that was just the name.
It says in the commentary.
It makes sense.
They're quoting from Rashi and Sanhedrin. I guess there's another discussion over there.
No, he was nicknamed Bar Nafcha. That was his nickname.
What it says here is Bar Nafcha means son of a blacksmith, and it's a reference to Rebbe Yochanan.
Right.
His father was a blacksmith, according to Rashi.
Right, they called him that maybe, but then they ended up calling. Sometimes they called him Bar Nafcha. And the Maharsha explains it, the union of what was going on over there, what exactly they meant. So Amar Rav Chaviva. So Rav Chaviva Bar Sumeki. He explained to me, Chazi Li Hahu Mirabonim, the Havi Shchiach Eliyahu. I saw a certain Chacham that was with Eliyahu Navi all the time, that had frequented with Rebbe Eliyahu Navi, Gabe. And he told me that in the morning he had eyes that looked good, and in the night he had eyes that looked very burnt out. Litzafra Havu Shupiran Eine, his eyes looked good. Ursa Zemayan Ke Mekilin Benur, looked at night they looked like they were burnt with fire. Omerle Maihai, and I said to him, well, what happened? Omerle told me to Omerle Eliyahu that they asked Eliyahu, Ach bili rabbanan ki salke lemisivta de rekia. He told him, it seems like he's not directly answering the question, but he told him that I asked Rebbe Eliyahu Navi to show me how the rabbanan in the next world, they go up to the Mesivta de Rekia, to a certain like Shiva in Shiva Shalmal and Torah. And Rebbe Eliyahu told him, so Omar Li, Bekuluhu Matitz Listikule Bahu, in any of the Rabbanan that you see going up to the Mesivta, as they're going up to the Mesivta Shalmala, you can look at them. Levar me except from the Guharka de Rebbe Chiah. Don't look at the chariot of Rebbe Chiah. Except for the Guharka de Rebbe Chiah. To lo mistakil be. Don't look at that one. My simnai. How will I know which one's which? Bechuluhu, with all of them, azli malache kisalke v'nachte. Then all of them, the way that they go up in their chariots, they go up with the malachim, bring them up and down. The var migil. Who garko, besides from the chariot the Rebbe Chiah, that one the malachim don't bring up and down, because that one goes up and down by itself. The menafshe salek v'nachis, that one goes up and down by itself. leukma anafshi. So he said, I couldn't control myself, restrain myself. And I looked at Rebbe Chiah, stachle be bo. Also tre botite to nura. Two sparks of fire came out. Machiuhu lahu gabra, and then they hit that gabra that was looking. This seemed nehu le'enin. They blinded his eyes. The next day, when he woke up or whatever, ozle b'shtochai amarose. He went. He prostrated himself. He went to the cave of Rebbe Chiah, and he told him, Amina misnaiso demar masniso. He told him, I learned your mishnayos. It's like it's said that when a person learns the learnings of the different chacham, it's as though their lips move in their grave, and it's like it gives them a life. So too, and it says that a person who's blind is like a mace. So just as when he became blind, I learned your mishnayos, I give you kilu life while you're in the next world. So you give me life. You, instead of me being blind and being like a mace, you give me life and give me my eyes back. As Sosai, at that moment, he got his eyes back. Eliyahu Havi. So I'm not sure whose eyes were burnt out before, if it was the person's or Eliyahu Navi's.
No, it was the Rabbi Chaviva.
So maybe that's why his explanation of why his eyes were burnt.
Right.
Burnt.
Right. He
Right.
looked at the chariot, and he was burned, and then he went and davened, and he was healed.
Right.
But he still had a certain bloodshotness to his eyes.
Right. So, right there. Eliyahu Havi, Shchiach b'Mesivta to Rabbi, used to come on to the yeshiva Rabbi, and it's when the Chachamim were learning like secrets of the Torah, and usually it was on Shabbos, the Mephoshim say. Eliyahu would come with them, and one day he was late. Mesivta the Rabbi, Yom Echad, Reish Yarcho Havi was on a Rosh Chodesh, the Nogale, and he was late. Eliyahu Navi was late. Below also, he didn't come because he was late. Omale, my time Nogale. Lamar. After he came, they said, "Why were you late?" So Omale, Abraham. I had to wake up Abraham because it was like, I think they say like Abraham Avinu is like woken. It's like a Chiah Samesim in the wherever Abraham Avinu is, and then he's like he's nifter again, like every day almost. So Umasha Yodeh. Then he had to wake him up and wash his hands. Umatzle, and then he had to help him daven. Umagninole, and then he had to put him back to sleep like he would die again. Yitzchak, he had to do that for Yitzchak v'chein Yaakov. They asked him, why didn't you, took a long time? So that's why you were late. Why don't you just wake them all up and have them down together? Ulik minhu bahadi adodi, let them down together. Sabre, no, I didn't want to because tokfe b'rachme v'maisei leile meshicha below zimne, because maybe the rachmin would be too great, and then it would bring the Mashiach before its time. So I wanted to only wake them up individually. Omalei yesh dugmasan ba'olam hazeh. Is there anyone that can do such a thing also, just by with their tefillahs to bring the Mashiach? So Omalei Ika, there is Rabbi Chiah. So Rabbi Eliyahu Hanavi told Rabbi that Rabbi Chiah had the same koyach. Rabbi Chiah v'bonad. So at that moment, Rabbi wanted, it was Gozer Rabbi Tanisa Atinus Achtinu the Rebbe Chiah v'bonai, put them Rebbe Chiah and his sons to daven for the tzibor. Omar, every time they would daven Mashiv Haruach, when he would get to that point in the davening, v'nishra zika, and then the wind would blow. Omar Morida Goshim Osamitra, and then the rain would come. Kimata Lemema Mechayim Amesim, that it would be Tchias Mesim already. So then Ruagash Am, the world started quaking, like it had in Yechezkel when Yechezkel was Mechayim Mesim, and the same thing started happening. So Omrei Berikia, they said in Lamala. So Man Gali Razia, who was Megala that this can be done by if they have Rebbe Chiah David, Ba'alma. Omer Eliyahu. Eliyahu was the one who's Megal to Rabbi. Isiu Eliyahu Machuhu Shisin Pul Say Denur. They hit him with 60 strikes of fire. Also, Idmei Lehu Keduva de Denur came down like in front of Rebbe Chiah Bonav down there as a flaming bear. That the Hezbollah is that the flaming bear. The bear is like the Malchus Pras. They explain, and it's he's the sar of the Malchus Poras is a bear. B'Shemayim Biel. That's the sar of the Malchus of Poras. And Poras is Persia. And it was Nigzar at that time that Klal Yisrael should be Mishubodim under Persia, and not to leave the Shibud at that moment. And that's brought down in the Sektas Yuma. And it wasn't time for the Geula. What happened was that this fiery dove comes down, and a dove has big long fingernails, and it's like over his chest. It tears with its fingernails the chest of the animal all the way down to the heart. And that's the remez being why I wasn't ready for Gula at that time, because the heart of Klal Yisrael wasn't prepared. That's why we were meshubed under the Malchus of Persia, Poras, down to the heart, because the heart of Klal Yisrael wasn't ready. You want to bring the Mashiach, if what you wanted to bring the Mashiach now, the door is not shalom in their heart. There's a chesaron is in the lev. That's why they had to be meshubed under Poras. The lev wasn't right. And that's why the bear came down to Mabalbo them, so they wouldn't bring the Gula at that moment. The Mabal, the kavanas of their belibam of the heart as they're davening, so that they shouldn't bring the Geula. That's why they were medam to the dove. They came down in the image of a dove. Eliyahu came down in the image of a dove in order to tear at the hearts and to mabal the hearts. And that's what we said here. Kidoiv denura al benayu vitardinu. In order to mababble them, coming down between them and to mababble their hearts so they wouldn't have clarity to bring the gula at that moment. And we'll stop here.